we are all set.
Thank you very much. Okay. Good evening. I'm Councilwoman Joanne Ryan, of the Committee on Finance, regular meeting. It is Tuesday, May 17th. It is 5:36 p.m. Madam Clerk, would you kindly read the roll?
Chairwoman Ryan.
Present.
Vice Chairwoman Castillo.
Present.
Councilman Nicholas Narducci, absent. Councilwoman Helen Anthony, absent. Councilman James Taylor.
Here.
3 present, 2 absent. We have a quorum.
Wonderful. Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to take an item out of order, item 6. I would like to take that first and waive the reading and set a public hearing. May I have that motion? Motion made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Councilman Taylor. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carried. Okay, so Madam Clerk, can we set a public hearing on that item?
Yeah.
Okay. Next items, I'd like to take together. Correct? Yep, 1 through 5. Motion to take items 1 through 5 together and waive the readings. Motion made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Councilman Taylor. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay. All right, so who do we have? Oh, we need to swear folks in. So everybody who is going to testify this evening, could you please present yourself to be sworn in by our clerk?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and your title for the record.
Lawrence Mancini, Chief Financial Officer, City of Providence.
Sarah Silveri, Finance Director. Crystal Lindberg, Deputy Finance Director and Budget Officer.
Leo Parada, Director of Public Works.
Joseph Pachu, Director of Inspections and Standards.
Kevin Mahoney, Deputy Director of Inspection Standards. Alan Giuliano, Associate Director of Environmental. Daniel Echeverria, Chief Human Resources Officer.
Patrick Fioravanti, Deputy Director of Human Resources. Elizabeth Miller, Benefits Manager.
Jonathan Bastian, Risk Management Specialist.
All set? Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, just to give you a run of show this evening, first of all, welcome all. I see smiling faces way down there. We're going to start with DPW. We had some items we needed to finish up, so we're going to start with DPW. We're going to move to inspections and standards, and then we're going to clean up with the HR department. Is that acceptable to everyone?
It is.
All right. So we have at the table Mr. Parada, and we have,
Madam Chair.
who else was that out?
Mr. Giuliano, yes.
Mr. Giuliano. I didn't recognize you with your mask. Thank you.
Yeah, I apologize.
No, don't apologize.
I have a
Mask
grandson
is
that's
fine. I just didn't recognize
compromised,
you.
so promise the parents I wear the mask.
Rightfully so.
So I can
No,
go.
no problem, please. I didn't intend to imply there was any
No,
issue.
not at all.
Okay, so DPW, what do we have from you? You're cleaning up from last meeting. We asked you to make some changes that were discussed in committee. We asked you for an org chart that we could read. Did we ever get that?
I believe that was submitted to Ms. Costa last week. In individual format on Monday. On Friday.
I'm guessing not, but I look on,
I'll go with yes.
okay? All right, I'm going to be looking for that, and I thank you for doing that. Do you have any exhibits tonight that
And we have 2 exhibits, actually, two exhibits, I believe, relating to the cost analysis for DPW operating garbage and recycling pickup,
Beautiful.
and some accompanying articles from the city of Warwick, as they do trash and recycling on their own. You can peruse that, but basically the summation is if the city of Providence were to enter into this endeavor, minimum cost for equipment alone would be around $6.6 million purchased vehicles. That does not take into account any other costs that we'd have to accommodate for retrofit a new building and additional property costs, as we may need to expand our current transfer station premises. Personnel costs would probably be somewhere in the range of $3 million. You would have to have some trucks with 2 personnel per truck, some 1. You would need additional mechanics. You would have to replace the fleet probably every 4 to 5 years incrementally. So you've built in about $1 million there.
Mr. Parada, I apologize. I need to enter these into exhibits before our discussion of them, so I apologize. Madam Vice Chair, could you kindly make a motion to enter the 3 documents presented by Mr. Parada, cost analysis, DPW, operating garage / recycling pickup, with 2 attached exhibits or documents associated with that. I am going to call this, Madam Clerk, Exhibit 6. That motion is made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Councilman Taylor. All in favor, aye. Any opposed, ayes have it. Please continue, and I apologize, Mr. Parada.
Thank you. In addition to the personnel costs, fuel costs will probably range in the area of $450,000 annually. Diesel is up to about $6.25 a gallon. If we go to partially gas-powered, we would need to negotiate a contract with the local vendor to use natural gas as well, but those expenses are going up. Maintenance costs are unknown, but you have to factor that in there as well, parts and making repairs to the fleet. So basically, you're talking somewhere in the range of an initial investment of $6.6 million, excluding any other capital outlays for expanding a new building and property purchases or expansion, and somewhere around $5 million annually to operate a full-fledged system. However, if you look at the other articles with City of Warwick, they've had big challenges. Their vehicles have been vandalized, caught on fire. They've had maintenance issues. So it is a major undertaking, and it would take probably a number of years for the city to recoup the initial investment to break even with what we're outlaying right now, which is about $7 million a year. So I think it would merit further study, but it doesn't go without its drawbacks. And some of those drawbacks are the same issues that we currently have with the vendor. Streets will be missed, trucks will break down. Some of those issues, no matter what vendor or what operation we use, they will always happen. The question becomes, what do we see in our future? What's the best method? Do we want to take full responsibility and ownership of it, or do we prefer to sub it out? So I leave that.
Councilman Taylor, thank you.
So we're paying what now, $7 million?
Somewhere around, right now, the contract is 7.69, $7,692,000.
And how much for the, was it 100,000 for the mattresses?
So the mattresses, that is a dedicated fund, and that depends upon how many people actually use it. So right now, I got some figures from them. About $20,000 would be reimbursed from January 1 to May 7th. Was the last date that I had.
What if we broke that out and had, say, hired 2 people just to do mattresses the whole time? Worth it, not worth it?
You would need a vehicle, I think, a good stake body truck, something larger than what we use right now, so you can pick up more. The disadvantage that you have with waste management right now is that they only pick up once a week. So that leads to issues. That's one of the main reasons, as I said in my previous testimony, why they have to bag the mattresses. Because if they stay out, they get wet, they're contaminated, they go as trash. They're bagged, they stay dry, they go as recycling, there's no fee to the city. So when we go out, we pick them up, we dry them out if they're not dry, and we're able to get them recycled. So we've been able to reduce the number of, the tonnage of mattresses being disposed of from an average of 15, 16 tons a month down to 2 or 3. That's a significant savings, just by changing our operations.
But we don't have dedicated people.
We
doing
don't.
that, right?
So to me, if we took that 250 that is in the contract, and we said, let's use that 250 and dedicate it towards buying a truck or two, using it for mattress retrieval, we can do it on a regular basis. There's your mattress program.
So
But,
you
you
could
know,
operate a mattress program.
right now, just so we all understand, right now, we collect somewhere around 12,000, 13,000 mattresses annually. The vast majority of them are brought to DPW free on Saturday. What I'm fearful of is we do it and promote it on our own, we impact that, which would then cause us to pick up more on the street. So that's an unknown factor. Right now, Waste Management picks up around 2,600 mattresses on the street. We also pick up another 3,000. The rest are dropped off.
Councilman Taylor?
Per month, 3,000?
No, for the year. So for the year, we pick up around 3,000, 3,300. Waste Management picks up around 2,600 for the year. And the remainder, which is about 7,000 or so or more, are dropped off for free on Saturday mornings. What I'm fearful of is if we promote, say, hey, we're going to pick them up for free, that number that is dropped off at DPW for free on a Saturday will shift to our staff. And it's an unintended consequences. We do a truck, we're going to pick them up for free. We may end up needing 3 trucks or 4 trucks.
Right, for what?
Yes,
Well,
please.
I'm just looking at when the council people have mattress drop-offs. We're picking up, not even including them, you're picking up and the delivering, probably anywhere from 1 to 200. So I'm thinking if we had like a roaming, I'm in favor of it, but they have like a roaming every day that they go pick them up. And they're still gonna go down on Saturdays.
Yeah.
But if people can't get it down there, or, you know, people have cars, they're elderly, and I know I do it, Sal will pick them up because they're, you know, just put them outside the house.
Yeah, we do that now, Councilman. We do it for anybody who calls. There's a lot where residents don't know to call in, and a neighbor will say, hey, there's a mattress at so-and-so's house. Can you have it picked up? Or a council person will call in. Mattresses will get dumped illegally. That happens as well. We pick them up. So that happens more often than people actually call Waste Management. And then what happens the most is the Saturday pickups. And we do have the special neighborhood pickups. We just had one in Councilman Vargas's ward, I think it was last Saturday. And I think there was over
109.
Yeah.
109.
Yeah, mattresses dropped off there, and we had another 200 plus at DPW dropped off that day as well. So that was 300 mattresses. Out of those 300, over 90% were recycled, which is great.
Do you think it would be advantageous to buy a truck and have 2 people assigned just to it and see how it goes?
I think it would help us if we had a better truck, a bigger truck, and do that with personnel. I just am fearful of saying, hey, let's promote this as, you know, the way to go, because I think it will have that unintended consequence on a Saturday, and that's what I'm fearful of. But doing the system we are now, it sort of works. But with better equipment, dedicated personnel, we can do much better.
Can I ask something?
I'm all set.
Mr. Giuliani?
Yeah.
Giuliano,
So-
you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, because Waste Management does pick up mattresses, but they have to follow the criteria of the company. So they have to be in a plastic bag, they can't be moldy, they can't be buggy, they can't be stained, they can't.
When you say of the company, what company are you
Waste
referring to?
Management. That's their criteria for anybody who calls and put a mattress out. So what happens is, it's fit the criteria, they may not have it in the bag. It may be wet or damaged somehow with soil. So what happens? They leave it behind. We have to do it. They already paid waste management. It's just, you have to have some criteria to go along with it. Because otherwise, people come in from other cities, and my cousin, I'll dump it in front of his house because they're picking them up for free. It just snowballs. We get so many of them. It hasn't stopped in how many years? It's the same. It's 200 to 300 a week, every week.
And the criteria is set by Mattress Recycling Council. So because if they don't meet a certain criteria, they'll get rejected and they're disposed of at $2,000 a ton. So that's why we do that extra step when they're picked up off the street. If they're wet, they'll get rejected immediately. So we dry them out. By drying them out, we're able to get them recycled. So we've made a huge improvement in that area.
Do you have any other thoughts, Councilman?
My thought would be, I think we should look into getting another vehicle and having 2 people just assigned to it and get them off the streets, because there's,
So the council has, we have a continuous issue with all of these mattresses all over the city. And we have to have these mattress collection drives, or some council people drive around with their own pickup truck and provide a mattress pickup service. So without continuing our discussion about how disappointed we are with waste management service overall to the city of Providence, we're really disappointed in the mattress program. So I guess I'd like to ask you kindly put together a proposal for us on the city taking over the complete operation of our garbage disposal or pickup and recycling. I'd like you to put together a proposal. Councilman Taylor has articulated what would it mean, what would it look like, and we rely on your expertise. We would like to see a more proactive approach as opposed to having to counsel people to field calls for mattresses on a regular basis. We don't mind doing it. We're here to serve the public, and we feel like we need to work closely with DPW to get the job done at times, but there's something that's not right, that it's a continuous problem. So let's try to be proactive. I appreciate you putting this information together. I think that the committee would probably like to digest it a little more. I do recognize it's not, it would be something, if we were to make a switch like that, that would be long-term for us to, start to go down that road. But maybe this pilot program that we're talking about might be a step in the right direction. I also would like you to consider, a pet peeve of mine is the waste, the yard waste, because it's not working with waste management. That's another pet peeve. So why don't you put together something like that, a proposal? I'd like to see the auditors waiting.
The waste management contract, Leo, we're in year 3 for fiscal year 23.
July 1st is year 3,
Okay,
correct.
and then the following 2 years are optional?
Absolutely.
The both parties have to agree to the optional 2 years?
Yep.
So are you going to put that back out to bid? If they don't, because apparently they don't want to do this, did you ever consider doing more than one vendor?
That's something we will definitely put together. We'll put it as an option for yard waste, for mattresses, even for recycling.
How
We can
about
split it out in many ways as possible.
routes? You can have X company doing those routes, Y company doing those routes.
Right.
And then just,
Then you could
because
compare.
I know waste management's the only one that can handle our city, but maybe X disposal can do this one and that one. So but that has to be soon,
Right, it's going to be by January of next year.
the bids collected. because-
Bids out, bids out.
Well, isn't it 6 months that we have to give them before we cancel the 4th year?
I think 6 months prior to, so
Okay, so we have to bid it out like
fall, somewhere there.
September, October.
But I agree. Right now, the quandary that the city has, and we recognize this, and, you've basically taken some of the ideas we have internally. We know that the city is too large for many companies to do. And that's why Waste Management has been the company been doing it for decades now. So one of the options,
Were they the only respondent to our last RFP?
yes, they were. Yep. So one of the things that we have examined is doing just what you suggested, separating out components, separating out trash, separating out recycling, yard waste, mattresses. Obviously, it may drive up the price. We don't know, but that's a big option. And we have to explore that, and maybe that gets other people or other vendors to partner up to do it, and say, hey, I'm capable enough to handle trash. I'll partner with you, and you do the recycling, and you. But that also, you have to be cognizant of the potential downfalls. Now you're dealing with 2, 3, 4 different vendors and thinking about who's responsible for what. So everything has its consequences, but it's something that we are actively exploring.
Thank you very much. Anyone else, committee members? Okay, Mr. Giuliano,
Yes.
talk to us about your challenges with environmental services. What's going on there?
The challenges, some of the challenges are vehicles. We don't have enough. They are pretty much at the end of the road. They won't pass inspection. We need vehicles to be, our job is done on the road. As far as, the work being done in the wards, I think we have a sufficient number of inspectors. Because, we've heard, one inspector a ward. Well, think about this. He's going to drive in your ward 5 days. How much work is he going to have? And so that's 15 desks that we need. We don't have them in the building. 15 vehicles that we need. We can't even supply 6.
Who's proposing 15 inspectors per ward?
No, I've just heard it. I've heard it. Some of the councilmen say maybe we should have one in every ward, but.
How many inspectors do you have?
6.
6. And you're happy with 6 inspectors citywide?
Well, some guys have 3 wards and some guys have 2. So, when we go out, we try to go out before garbage day. But most of the time, we do want to go out at least after garbage day. And when we go after garbage day, we can tell just by going through the route, is it bulky here? Well, we do get lists from Waste Management. If it's not picked up, that means, and if it wasn't on the list, that means they're putting it out without calling anybody. So at that point, we issue a ticket, and we internally pick that up. We send that over to South Solomon Highway, and we get that picked up. So from one week to the next, we can at least try to keep the areas clean enough to say, okay, this isn't this, because when we get a call, it's been out there for 3 weeks. It's not really that likely that it has been. Sometimes it has, I agree. But most of the time, if we're out there after garbage day, we're not missing that. We do sometimes, I agree we do. But most of the times after garbage day, it's a good method. So we don't want to go on garbage day because we don't know who's calling. We have to give them some bit of leeway. So, the way it is, if you have 2 wards and you can service that ward before garbage day and after, that's pretty sufficient. And we also run on complaints. So when we have complaints, if it's barrels being out all the time, we won't go out on garbage day. We have to go out after. And the way the council set it up, we have to do a warning first. So we have to go out, we have to keep records of who's keeping their barrels out all week. But we can't issue a ticket right away, so we have to send a warning letter. So again, there's work to be done. We've been here.
Does the warning letter have to go through the mail, or can it just be delivered at the house? Knock on the door, is a letter.
Most of the times, the owner is not living at that property.
Okay.
So even now with recycling, we used to do that. We go back the next week, all the information in the pamphlets that we gave out the previous week are on the ground or in the barrel. So now we send it out to the owner. We let him make the decision whether he wants to continue getting tickets Or does he want to talk to his tenants to say, do the right thing? So, you know, you have to get to the landlords somehow, and that's what our aim is.
Are you utilizing the Attorney General's nuisance task force in any way relative to environmental issues, or is
I
that?
have myself been on the nuisance task force previous times with Kevin, even the Attorney General's task force they had way back when, down on South Main. But I asked Mary Lee if I could get in, and they said, well, you know, it's a lot of police, and I know that, it's a lot of police, of course, but they take.
Do we have a representative from DPW on that nuisance task
No.
force?
No, we don't.
Would you like to be on that
I
task force?
asked to be, yes.
You should be,
Yeah, I asked to be.
because part of the problems that we see as council people is connecting the police with the environmental and with inspectors and standards. Ask me how many emails I sent, all my people in the back, can attest to how many times I try to bring you all together. You should be on that.
I agree. I think going forward that we should even ride with some of Kevin's guys. We may have.
You're dealing with the same houses.
That's right. We may have similar problems at that house. So
Madam Clerk,
they can, you know.
Could you kindly make a notation to ask the chief of staff of the city council to extend an invitation to a representative from DPW, and I'm thinking Al might be the perfect person, but I won't go there. Representative from DPW to be added to the Attorney General's nuisance task force, so that we're all working together. Would that help you?
Yes, it would.
Perfect.
I'll give you an example, and I'm sure you know about it, this Oakland Avenue address. It's been terrible for months now. We even went, myself and the inspector, to the address supplied by the city for the landlord. It's supposed to be Sweet Briar. We went there, knocked on the door. Some kid comes out, he looks like we woke him up in boxer shorts. Hey, is Joseph Grady? He didn't even know who he was. So that information is not, for some reason, it's not giving us the right information. But to get that gentleman to a point where we can present the problems that he's contributing to the neighborhood, you know, maybe the law department, somebody would be able to get him in, because we've tried many times. And then just recently, I talked to a kid I was giving him barrels, and he was from the neighborhood. He said he called the realtor. I said, what realtor? Is he selling the house? He found a realtor that represented this gentleman before, and he supplied a number for us, and we reiterated how many tickets we've issued, and we want him to give us a call, because it's a neighborhood problem. We've cleaned the sidewalk many times, but to go into the property, we have to perform cleaning.
So what's that point of escalation? How many tickets do you have to give before what happens? Or you just keep writing tickets?
In the past, we haven't done cleaning liens in properties that are occupied. It's just something we have to get the police to accompany us. It can be done, but, you know, to serve the gentleman, I mean, it's kind of difficult, because if he's not getting his mail, it comes back to us. And I think at that point, how does that work, Leo? They can't go forward because he never received the information.
How are you doing on Eaton Street?
We're working on that as well, but, you know, again, wouldn't it be nice if we could get the owner in? That owner has many properties in the city. It's Linda Davis, is it Linda Davis? I think so. Her father had a ton of properties down in South Providence. Lloyd Griffin Group, you guys familiar with that? You might be Jimmy, right? And now it's her. She's got an office on Broad Street. They also have an address in New York City. We've sent to various locations. And I think just the last time we sent something out, one piece of mail, certified mail, was accepted by them, but the other wasn't. We sent two out for the two properties there in Eaton. So it's like a hit or miss thing, but it would be nice to get these people in, sit them down, and put it out straight. This is what we need from you. You know, people say take their barrels. That's great, but what happens after we take their barrels? It's even going to be worse. So we need cooperation from the landlord, maybe the law department, maybe the task force, In certain
Do you meet
situations.
with the law department regularly?
No.
Should you be meeting with the law department regularly to go over these houses that are problematic?
I think it would be easier to go to the nuisance task force. We have the lawyers there, right? How do they get in touch with owners that they want to bring in? They do it. I don't know how they do it. They research it and they find it. That's what we need.
Any questions, committee members? Thoughts? How are you doing on rat abatement? I know that there was a period of time when they were way,
We have our guy back, he came back off comp, we're doing Saturday baiting. That's all we can do because we don't have anybody that, the last guy we got, been on another job and he's gone. But they need to pass the test. And that's where the problem is. Some of these candidates have not passed the test.
so you don't have appropriate staffing for the rat abatement issue?
So we put it out to bid, we're waiting for people to bid on the position. In the meantime, we do have someone on staff who does have a license. So that person has stepped up and they do it every Saturday.
So are
Right
you
now-
caught up?
Hmm?
Are you caught up?
Right now, we're down to 30 outstanding requests, that's it,
30?
30 citywide. So we're pretty much caught up.
Because I think the council asked you to go out and hire someone outside if you didn't have the capacity.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, we're in decent shape considering where we got.
anybody else? I'm good. I wanted to ask you about the grade adjustments. Have you made those?
Yes.
What is your recommendations?
So for the sewer division, we made a recommendation of grade 18. I think that is fair, but, considering what the superintendent does, they go the extra mile. I'd be more than happy to promote him higher than that, up to a grade 20. But I think that's something that this body and the chair should consider. They are going through training to operate a camera, so they now camera the lines. The sewers, nobody sees them. We see the unpaved roads, the potholes, paving in the streets. Sewers, nobody sees. And the lines collapse, we have to retrofit them, we have to camera them, we have to take care of backups. So they're getting trained in all these areas of expertise, so I think that would be fair. So that's what was submitted.
So, thank you, Mr. Prado. He also talked about the fact that we've got a vacuum truck, a very expensive vacuum truck, and it often stands idle because we don't have staff to utilize it. So is there a staffing issue? Do you need additional staff in that department? Or
We
have positions that are not filled?
We have some that are not filled. I believe the department calls for 8 in total. I believe we may be short 1 or 2 right now, but we posted for those positions. We did in the initial budget submission ask for 4 additional, but we're also cognizant of the fact that the city has competing demands. Sewer, unfortunately, has always been left behind because people don't see it. And people pay their sewer bill to Narragansett Bay Commission. The city does not see a sewer bill separate from the tax bill. Unfortunately, that was negotiated many decades ago. But do I think we need to improve? Always.
Councilman Taylor?
What, I'm trying to find it here, but I didn't want to ask the question, but how much, is he called the director of sewer? Or what?
Superintendent.
I can't find it. So he is what now?
I think it's grade 17-4, 17-4.
And you only want to go to an 18?
We were gonna go to an 18-4, in other words, a full grade up.
Here's my problem I have with that, is that that person's been there for quite some time. Correct?
I believe for 3 or 4 years.
Okay, so my opinion is that I would like to see him go to an A20, and the reasoning is because we have the deputy director under you is at A24, I believe we moved from an A22 to A24, and she's been there less than a year.
She's been there about too, but she was in a previous position.
Right.
But I understand where you're coming
But I'm trying to make it even on top, that someone, you know, I don't know, what's the internal order thing? I'll put you on the spot.
We reviewed it at the last meeting.
Okay.
We agree.
I don't think one notch up was anybody.
I don't have any problems with that. I mentioned that earlier in my
Do
testimony.
you want to do you feel comfortable enough to make a motion to amend the,
I make a motion to amend it to an A20.
in class ordinance? Compensation ordinance, for that position. Sewer superintendent from an A17 is currently presented to an A20. You
So moved.
comfortable with that?
So moved,
Motion
as you said
made,
it.
motion made by Councilman Taylor, seconded by Vice Chair Castillo. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. It's amendment.
Thank you.
Okay, that's one down. All right. Anything further? Yes.
You asked me about staffing, and I apologize. I kind of need some laborers in my department, really, because it's happened to me before. I have to depend on highway. Right now, I don't have any road people, so we have the responsibility of delivering trash barrels. I have nobody to do it. No one. People come in, they want a barrel, I go downstairs, which I've been told by the union many times I can't do it, but we don't have anybody to do it.
Okay.
If I could make a pickup, if I have my own people, I can make a pickup, but I don't. At one time, DPW had a whole environmental division with maybe 15 people. A couple of laborers would suit us well. And I put in for that, I just wanted to add that because again, there's some things that concern our department that we can't even perform because we don't have the help.
Okay. Thank you for that testimony.
Thank you.
We will take that into consideration while we're looking at these jobs and budget funding and all those kinds of things. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your work
I appreciate it.
and service. Mr. Parada, do you have any words to leave us with this evening?
That is it. I think that, you know, some of the material that I gave you earlier regarding trash, recycling.
I'm sorry, sir.
No, that's okay. I understand. Trash, recycling, and yard waste, we will look at the mattresses and we'll be happy to provide you with an analysis in terms of doing it within the department. And we'll present
And I
that.
thank you for that. I just want you to leave us knowing that the council's frustrated with waste management service. The taxpayers are extremely frustrated. I can't express to you enough. I'm on doors, I've got a campaign coming up, and every single door every person I speak with talks about waste management. Their lack of service, the fact that the city is not as clean as it should be. We've got mattresses all over the place, we've got couches, waste barrels on front lawns, in what, there should be shrubbery there. We've got a number of issues, and we want to try to help come to a reasonable solution. And we're looking to you for your guidance in your department to help us find some solutions there. And I thank you for your extra effort in this budget period. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that's a wrap on that one. Let's now have our friendly inspections and standards.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Al, thank you.
Nice seeing you again.
All right, what do we have? Who is presenting themselves? Huh. Hello, gentlemen. You've already been sworn in, correct?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. You have exhibits for us. Could you please identify them for me? I believe you have this, inspections and standards,
Yep, the organization chart.
work chart. What else do you have? That's it.
That's it.
Okay, awesome. Okay, and then we have a 3-box report, right? Okay, how are we gonna do this? Chief Mancini, Director Silveria,
Madam Chair, it's a pleasure to be with you this evening. As is typical,
before you start, do you have any exhibits other than the 3-box?
we do not.
You do not. Okay, so.
Once again,
at
it's,
this juncture, I would like to enter the organizational chart and the 3-box report. Let's call this the organizational chart Exhibit 7. May I have that motion? Vice Chair Castillo makes that motion, seconded by Councilman Taylor. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Organizational chart for inspections and standards is Exhibit 7. We have a 3-box report presented by Director Silverio and Chief Mancini and Cristo, and there's a number of pages. We are going to call that Exhibit 8. Motion made by Councilman Castillo, seconded by Councilman Taylor. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Chief Mancini, take it away.
thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening again, Madam Chair, members of the committee. It's always a pleasure to be here. As is typical, the Finance Director, Ms. Silveria, and Deputy Finance Director, Mr. Lindberg, will lead the presentation and narrative on the departmental budget, and will share with you information associated with the 3-box reports, and we will do any questions necessary the committee has, and of course the department is available to discuss not only its budget but also its operation procedures. So thank you, Madam Chair. With that, if you have no objection, Ms. Silveria will lead the presentation.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tonight we have Department of Inspections and Standards here to present their budget. I'm just going to read in a brief narrative to overview of their submitted budget. Revenues are budgeted in the following divisions. Inspections and Standards Administration revenue is budgeted at $8,343,000. This represents a decrease of $461,032 from the 22 budget. And this revenue is based on the number of known projects in development in the city in accordance with project timelines observed by the department. The Zoning Board of Review revenue is budgeted at $30,000, a decrease of $6,000 from the 22 budget. And this revenue is decreasing due to a zoning conformity trend that has been observed across known projects. Building Board of Review is budgeted at $3,000. This represents a decrease of $4,040 from the 22 budget. And this revenue is decreasing due to building conformity trend that has been observed across known projects. Moving on to expenditures, salaries for inspections and standard divisions have increased due to the 2.5% proposed increase for 1033 and non-union staff. There are no personnel changes requested in this department. Inspections and standard administration salaries are budgeted at $723,143, an increase of $28,640 over the 22 budget. Structures and zoning salaries are budgeted at $1,040,112, an increase of $25,719 over the 22 budget. Plumbing and mechanical salaries are budgeted at $257,476. This is a decrease of $21,229, and this is because there were two longtime employees who retired, so the new staff that have come on are starting at a lower step. Electrical salaries are budgeted at $202,115, an increase of $14,766 over the 22 budget. Zoning Board of Review is consistent with 22 at $18,450, as well as the Building Board of Review, consistent with 22 at $13,000. Benefits are budgeted in the following divisions. Inspections and standard budgeted benefits, $561,311, an increase of $43,393. Structures and zoning budgeted benefits of $855,434, an increase of $17,044. Plumbing and mechanical benefits are budgeted at $243,737, an increase of $20,230. Electrical benefits are budgeted at $147,149, an increase of $28,873. And zoning board of review and the building board benefits are FICA related and are consistent with prior year. All operating expenses are budgeted in the administration division. Services in fiscal '23 are budgeted at $480,134. This is a decrease of $172,253 from the '22 budget. And this change is primarily due to a reallocation of rent expense at 444. And that is the public property, did a space analysis of 444. There's some new departments over there. And so we really wanted to look at the square footage each department was occupying and charging rent accordingly. And 2,500 has been reallocated from miscellaneous expense to uniform expense. Supplies in 2023 are 2,500, and costs associated with uniforms have been moved from miscellaneous expense to uniforms. And there's no capital expense in this department.
Okay, usually we go through the 3-box report, but I think, I don't think, unless the committee would like to go through it line by line. I know the auditor has reviewed it and doesn't have any questions, is that correct? I don't either. I think everything is in order. My committee, would you like to go through the 3-box? Are you comfortable with the summary that was provided? I think it works. Awesome. Okay, I'm okay with this, and I want to thank the finance team. Great job on this department. I would like to speak with the department, so thank you. It's good to see you gentlemen first.
Same here.
It's been a
Good to
while
see you.
in person.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So let's talk about your organizational chart. Do you have any vacant positions? Any challenges, any concerns, any particular needs that you'd like to express to the council?
We do have some vacancies right now that we've sent out just last week to get posted for a few positions. I believe we sent out 4 that were vacant. We do have a few more vacancies coming forward, unfortunately, due to the fact that in the last, I'd say, 7 weeks, we've had 3 personnel coming and give their resignation because they're moving on to outside contractors and a school and things of that nature. So we have to backfill those once those people leave. However, we are missing a couple of other key spots in code enforcement, so we're trying to get those filled.
Okay. We had, the council had requested last budget round that we increase the inspectors for obvious reasons. Were you able to do that and fill those positions, and how is that working for you?
So we have not been able to do any grade changes or pay scale changes as of yet in the department. We did want to change, just to speak of one position, is the senior department clerks. They're at a grade 13. Kevin and I both had a discussion that we think they'd be better off to start at a grade 18. That reason being is we're getting good people in those positions, and they're moving on because it's just more cost effective for them to move somewhere else than to wait to go up the 5 steps. Close to 15% makes it difficult as well.
Okay. So you didn't add any new inspectors? Because I thought we were going to try to add 4 or 6 inspectors.
There were several put forward. I believe we have an electrical inspector and a building 2 that was approved out of, I think, 5 positions that we put forward, I think.
Okay. So how far along are you in filling all of these vacant spots? Let's take, you've got 4.
So once the 4 posts on the city website, we just
Actually, there's more than 4, right?
there are more than 4. Some of the positions we
How
have.
many vacant positions do you have?
I have 7 right now, I believe.
Okay. So let's figure out where you are on those. Are you like about to fill them? Are you going to fill them in 6 months?
I'm hoping to fill them within the next 3 months, if possible. It's very difficult to attract good personnel at our pay scale.
So your salaries are not attracting
We're just not
capable
competitive
people? Not competitive. How far off are you?
by 20%, I'd say.
Are you losing people?
We are. I have a great electrical inspector, put his notice in because he's gonna go and teach, because it's more money. And he's an electrical inspector 3, which I'm not sure offhand, but I'd say somewhere in the realm of 50 to 60,000 range. And he's getting about 15% more than the top end of our salary to go teach.
So we have the benefit of already swearing in our HR director, Emmanuel. Can you tell us, have these union increases, were they part of negotiations, the union negotiations?
Yeah, we're still in conversations with local union 1033 on the positions that are going to change grades as a result of the new contract. This is something that we have brought up to the union as a concern, but I would also note that this is part of larger trends that we're seeing all around hiring. I think the last couple of years have led a lot of employers to increase their rates significantly, and therefore we are competing with a lot of smaller governments even for positions and for personnel, and we're at a slight disadvantage at the moment.
So it's the same issue in DPW, we have the issue in engineering.
We're seeing this issue in professional classes, in blue-collar classes. We're just seeing it universally. And with the recent inflation marks, a lot of other employers have started offering other incentives, other increases that have taken talent away from the city and make it very difficult to recruit. I can even attest in my department, looking for vacancies, we at some point had 16 candidates that we considered for one role, and 10 of them passed on the position because they were not competitive enough salary. So this is, we're seeing this in human resources as part of a larger trend.
So there's about 175 vacant positions citywide, is that correct, about that? Is that what the number is?
We would have to look at the vacancy report, do you know?
Okay.
You can get that information.
Just seems like a lot of vacant spots. And we have the 1033 contract, we just set a public hearing, motion to set a public hearing was how we started. So you're saying that you've had these discussions with the union?
They're ongoing, we're having conversations with the union. They have positions that they're proposing increases for, and we do as well.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry to interrupt Director Atchu. So what else is happening? I remember that there was one position that you had to be you had to have a special certification for in your department. Have you achieved that?
So the majority of the personnel that are in my department either require a special certification of at least one nature or multiple, or professional licensure as well. The general clerical staff, they need to have the aptitude to be able to go in and do the clerical work and things of that nature, and they need some background in that. However, I would say probably 70% of the staff in there require more than one certification or license in order to hold their position.
Okay. All right. Committee members, any questions, concerns, thoughts, comments? Okay, I have a question for you. Are you represented, is your department represented on the AG Citizens Task Force?
Yeah, I think Kevin's
I'm on it.
Do you go to every meeting?
Yes.
You do? Okay. Do you bring data from the city, from DPW, or you just bring data from your department?
No, just out of
Okay.
one.
All right, so I'm going to be completely forthright. I've had a number of incidents where I've had nuisance houses that I've brought before the AG's task force, and they didn't have the information that they needed relative to inspections and standards and relative to environmental issues. So I do think it's really, really important. That task force is important to council. It's important to taxpayers of the city of Providence, because if there's a nuisance house, it needs to be dealt with immediately. And the whole idea of that is to get all of the departments working together in a unified fashion, to cite the landlords, to bring them in, and to bring them into compliance. I've had a shooting, I've had a death in my neighborhood, at a house that was a nuisance, that I had email chain longer than my arm, asking for help, asking for inspectors to go out to the house. There needs to be a uniform process where we're all working together. It shouldn't be that difficult. When neighbors are complaining about a house, they're complaining because it's a real disturbance to the quality of life in their neighborhoods. So I need you folks to make sure that when we go as a city to present nuisance houses at that AG task force, whether it's a police matter, whether it's an environmental health and safety issue with rats or garbage that hasn't been picked up in 3 months, parties all through the night is, that's a police matter, but also housing code. You know the problems that I've brought to you. So, and, not getting an answer is not acceptable. We need to know that all of these issues are being followed up upon, and all of the departments are working together to address the challenges. So I'm hoping we give you the tools that you need to get the job done. We want to make sure that we get the job done. So is there anything else that the council can do for your department? Are you challenged, any challenges that you might have, that you can help us get these nuisance houses addressed sooner and more effectively?
I think maybe expanding our code enforcement division and adding a few more inspectors to that would help.
Code enforcement?
Yeah.
And how would that help?
So with
Lay
code,
that out for us.
so with code enforcement, they do minimum housing inspections. So they're the ones that go out on a daily basis, and they don't do like the building, plumbing, mechanical inspections. They go out and they look for your nuisance homes. They're looking for homes that are overgrown, that are causing problems, looking abandoned, run down in some fashion, houses that are having issues. If I have more people, I can expand. Right now, I only have 4 people for that. Looking to fill a 5th if possible. But Kevin and I have talked, maybe about 7 people would be helpful. And then we need vehicles for those people as well. But that would get us out there, and we're looking to be doing systematics. Right now, we're developing a system where they're going to follow the GIS map and just go up and down streets and looking for anything and everything that they can find, as well as answering any complaints for PUD 311.
Do you have a list of all the nuisance houses that have been reported in the city?
I'd have to look. I think I do. At least currently.
Okay. So I might suggest that you update your list and send a copy of all the nuisance houses to the council office so that we can keep an eye on them and maintain them and make sure that work is progressing on them. I know that the council office reaches out to you on a regular basis. I think that should be a regular meeting, that you're looking at those houses holistically as opposed to, all the individual calls that you must get from 15 council people, as well as a number of complaints that come in through 311. The problem houses are the same houses. And I just drove in here today, and I've got a couch, trash barrels in the front beds of a house that is a rental unit that has been a nuisance for a long time. And it's the same problems. Trash has not been picked up. They don't take their trash out. When they do, they don't bring their barrels in. There's more than, it's college students that live there. There's more than 3 college students that are in the houses. So it's not that we don't know these things are going on. We just need help, your help, to make sure that they're followed up on. All right. I think that'll do it. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Anything else directly that you'd like to share with the council?
No, Madam.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I think that's a wrap. Appreciate your testimony
Thank you.
and your service to the city. Okay. That leaves us with the Human Resources Department. Please join us.
Good job.
Good evening, Madam
Thank you,
Chair.
Joe. Okay, so we have some exhibits first, a manual. So we have our 3-box report, we have a work chart, and we have a position, current position list here. Is that yours?
Yes,
Okay, all right. So, Madam Clerk, where are we with exhibit numbers? Are we starting with 9?
Yes.
Okay, let's call the 3-box exhibit 9. Motion made, the 3-box report to Human Resource Department, exhibit 9, made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Councilman Taylor. All in favor, aye. Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries. We'll call the organizational chart, exhibit 10, from the HR Department. Motion made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Councilman Taylor. All in favor, aye. Any opposed, ayes have it, motion carries. And then the last exhibit, we're going to call it 11, is a list of positions, change and impact to budget matrix, which, again, exhibit 11, motion made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Councilman Taylor. All in favor, aye. Any opposed, ayes have it, motion carries. We have our exhibits. Why don't we get started with the famous 3-box report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To go through the brief overview we have of the HR department's budget submission, starting with revenue, there is no revenue for this department. And moving on to expenditures, salaries in fiscal '23 is budgeted at $1,459,323. This is an increase of $97,680 over the '22 budget. Salaries have increased due to the implementation of the 2.5 increase for 1033 and non-union staff, and the budget also includes the following personnel requested changes. There's a request to change the title to Deputy Chief Human Resources Officer and increase the salary from A22 to A23. And the fiscal impact of that is $4,591. The second is Manager of Employee Benefits, changing a title to Benefits Manager, no fiscal impact. The next is replacing the HR Systems Specialist, which is an A18, with a new Manager of HR Performance at an A21. This is an $11,700 fiscal impact. They would like to change the title from HR Manager to Manager of Personnel and Compensation. A change in title from Workers' Compensation and Safety Supervisor to Manager of Workers' Compensation and Safety, no fiscal impact. So total impact of the requested personnel changes is $16,291. Benefits for this department are budgeted at $954,819. This is an increase of $132,018 from the '22 budget. Moving on to services, total budgeted services for fiscal '23 are $401,994. This is a decrease of $29,422 from the '22 budget. And this reduction is due to decreases in training, private contractors, and miscellaneous professional services, and a modest increase in dues and subscription and miscellaneous expenses. Total supplies remains consistent at $8,700, and there is no capital budget in this department.
Thank you very much. Committee members, any questions, concerns? Would you like the finance folks to go through the 3-box report, or are you okay? You all right? Are you okay, Councilman?
I'm okay with that.
Okay. You're okay? All right. Madam Auditor, you don't have any questions, do you, on the 3-box? Okay, I'm good as well. Thank you very much for that presentation. I would like the department director to talk about the organizational chart, what's going on in your department. I know last budget season, we added quite a few positions for you, and there was some consternation, as I recall, to adding all those positions. But we took a leap of faith, so I'd like to hear what's going on. Are all your positions filled?
They are.
Okay. So let's talk about what's going on in your department and what's with all of these changes in titles and salaries.
So the Human Resources Department over the last couple of years has been focusing on measures of effectiveness and efficiency. And we, last year, with the support of the council and the administration, we were able to really professionalize the department by adding a couple of key investments, mostly in data and analysis in human resources. And the changes that you have before you today are cleanup portions, just to create consistency in titles and in some situations in rates of pay. So to go over them just in general detail, Ashley Fioravanti, who's currently the Deputy Director of Human Resources, is my deputy. My title has changed to Chief Human Resources Officer. Stylistically, I'm changing the title to Deputy Chief Human Resources Officer, since there's no Director of HR at the current point in time. And that comes with a slight increase from a grade A22 to a grade A23 to create parity between her position and another senior management position in the department, which is a manager of employee benefits. So that's one of the requests. The other request to a title and salary change is from Human Resources Systems Specialist to Manager of Human Resources Performance. That is because this position, we anticipated hiring a process improvement expert who had experience in HR systems management. The person we ended up recruiting, in fact, we were able to take from a very reputable healthcare and benefits company, and comes with a lot more analytical skills than what we were even expecting out of the position, and therefore has taken a lead in a lot of our benefits programming and auditing work. And therefore,
What position is that for benefits?
this is the manager of HR performance that's being proposed. So this position, because of its skill set in being able to not just liaise with benefits, but also being able to work with IT on very critical systems improvements, commands a higher salary when we did our salary analysis of what we were paying this type of a role. The other three changes that are
So I'm confused with, I'm sorry. I
No,
interrupted.
go ahead. Sorry.
So you've got a manager of employee benefits and you have a manager of HR performance that deals with benefits.
Well, so this division, the performance division of HR, which we created last year, basically runs HR systems improvements throughout all divisions of HR. So this person has designed a new database, for example, for workers' compensation. They designed a new database for equal employment opportunity complaints. They're leading a lot of the digitization efforts within human resources while working collaboratively with IT.
Okay. Please continue.
Thank you. The other three positions that are being requested are title changes only. And again, this is for a stylistic cleanup. So we have benefits manager. We wanted to change the title of that to manager of employee benefits. There's no impact to budget. The same thing with the risk management specialist that we currently have in our department. We wanted to change that position to manager of risk and workers' compensation, since they oversee our self-insured workers' comp unit, but also work on risk and safety mitigation efforts. And the last one was the human resources manager, changing that to manager of personnel and compensation, since they oversee the personnel division and they do all of the maintenance to employee records, including compensation records. So we just thought that the titles would be more descriptive, and it would allow us to finally have a department that's organized very similarly to other HR departments of our size and caliber.
How many vacant positions, are these all filled?
We have no vacant positions currently.
Everything is filled?
Yes.
Okay. How many, there's shading on this chart. Is there a reason? Is there a methodology to the shading on this chart?
Yes.
Or is it
So
just a pretty chart?
Both. The two dark red positions, myself and the Deputy Chief Human Resources Officer, are the senior managers. The other darker or lighter red positions are all of the division heads. The ones that are in pink are the professional supports to different members of management. So for example, we have our senior benefits analyst, our human resources generalist, which handle leave administration, things like that. Those are paraprofessional support positions that support the different divisions of HR. And then the ones without shading are our frontline employees that deal with the administration or execution of different HR functions.
So how many positions do you have in total in your department? Without
20.
counting all the boxes, how many?
20.
20 in total? How many of those positions are union positions?
8.
8 of them?
Yes.
Okay. How many positions were in this department when you started, before you started making changes to this department?
I believe
What was the
17.
size?
17.
17?
Yes.
And how many at that time were union?
8.
So the combination of union to the entire population has pretty much been the same?
Correct.
Is that true? Okay. Okay. Yes, auditor, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Looking at last week's payroll, why do you have 2 assistant claims examiners? When there's only funded and allowed 1, I believe.
One employee is out on leave, and we have one in the limited capacity.
So you don't remove them from the payroll? Shouldn't they be in tracking or something when they're on leave?
They go in tracking, I believe, when they're about to enter either workers' comp, but we only have one person in that capacity right now, the other is on leave.
Okay. And that's another
Yes,
question.
please continue.
Your performance analyst, you're paying him $30 an hour?
He's currently part-time.
Okay, I don't know if part-time is okay, but is the city allowed to violate the contract 1033 where any temporary part-time person isn't supposed to earn more than the lowest paid person in the city? There's no conflict there.
Not to my understanding.
Okay.
Could you explain what that rule is, please, for
There's
the
something in
committee?
the 1033 contract with temporary employees. Anyone who's temporary, now I don't know, all the years I've been here, I've never heard of a part-time employee in the city. They do the temps or interns. They're not supposed to perform anything below entry-level work. And I was under the impression that they could not earn more than the lowest paid employee in the city. I don't know. Larry, your experience, your recollection?
Chief, can you offer any
So,
clarification on that?
Madam Chair and Madam Auditor, with due respect to my colleague, I believe that matter was brought into existence favorably at the time when the Board of Canvassers was challenged with hiring temporaries to work elections. And because the bargaining unit had persistently and consistently raised the point that you just can't hire people off the street into the city. So they created limited positions with the understanding that the limited position would not be desirable for a person to leave, take the job as a temp, then when they saw a better position somewhere else in the city, have the right to bid out and take that position. That gave birth to them creating that ability where it would be some price, I think, just at or below the lowest salary of the union. But the premise behind that was to recruit and have temporary workers who would not be hired permanently to work in that special assignment during a election cycle. And it was meant to prevent them from bidding out into a full-time position. I think that's the relevance of that, but we'd be happy to work with the Chief Human Resource Officer to get you the backdrop. That's my
Do you
recollection.
have a
One
question?
last question. Does this employee receive any form of benefits?
He does not currently. So the reason why he is a part-time employee is because He's graduating, he's finishing his education, and then the offer that we made him is he would start a couple of weeks before graduation, or a few weeks before graduation, and then would transition to full-time as of next week. So we would onboard him as a permanent full-time employee.
Okay, thank you. Okay, are you good? Thank you very much, folks, on that topic. All right, you've got some wage increases here. Do you want to talk about them? The positions and why you want these increases?
Yeah, so the two wage increases, one is for the deputy director of the department, and that's to create pay parity with another position in the department that currently is at a higher range. And the position of human resources, or manager of human resources performance, the reason for that increase is to accommodate for the skill set that goes along with that job. It is a very technical job that is very focused on analysis and data and quality improvements.
How long has that person been in that job?
That person's been in that role for approximately 4 months.
And they were hired at the 18?
They started with the city in a different position, but they were hired at the A18 in the current role, yes.
Okay. So you're bumping this person who's been here for 4 months from an A18 to an A21, correct?
That's the request, correct.
Okay. What else? Any other increases that you want to talk about?
No, those are the only two requests we
Okay.
have.
What do the Human Relations Generalists 1 and 2 do? And as an HR coordinator, can you talk about their roles?
Yes. The human
Are
resources,
those union positions?
they are not.
Okay, can you first, let's identify the union positions.
The ones that are in white,
All of the white
correct.
are union. Okay, please continue.
The human resource generalists 1 and 2 administer different programs within HR. One of them is all leave of absences. So when employees take FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act, either the Rhode Island federal version, when they take leave of absences, when they apply for sick leave extensions, all of those are administered by those two employees, in addition to randomized drug testing, license and credential verification. They also support with director and management training, any performance evaluations that need to be done, and progressive disciplinary action, along other slew of things. So sometimes they're deployed to support with benefits communications, sometimes they're deployed to support with any sort of issue mitigation that we have to do in the city. They can provide coaching to managers on how to handle different personnel-related issues, and they also support with labor relations work. The Human Resources Coordinator is the confidential administrative support to all of the other members of management in the department. So that person takes confidential notes at our disciplinary hearings, they handle the record keeping for a lot of the office, and they provide logistical support to the department.
And all of these positions are reporting to you, with
There are
two
7.
managers reporting to the deputy?
Correct.
Okay. Were there employees transferred to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging from your department?
There was one position last year that was transferred.
Was that position filled?
In the new department,
Yeah, how did you handle the transfer of the position in your department? What did you do?
the employee herself was transferred to the new department.
Okay. Did you fill the position with another person? Did you create a new position? What happened to the position? For the
We ended up defunding the former position and funding the Equal Employment Opportunity Officer, which handles all sexual harassment and discrimination complaints.
Where's that? Oh, see it. Okay. Thanks. Okay, let's talk benefits. What services does Mrsa provide? And what tasks does the city itself provide relative to the benefits stats?
So Mrsa provides consulting services. They provide actuarial analysis for the city on our health plans. They also perform marketing for our medical, dental, pharmacy, and voluntary benefits. They liaise between us and the vendors at times when there are any complex issues or when we need sophisticated analysis. And the city, in turn, administers the day-to-day operations of the benefits office, paying bills, handling enrollments, disenrollments, changes of status, changes to coverage, as well as administering the physical payments to the health plans.
And who manages that Mrsa relationship? Does that fall under the manager of employee benefits?
That's Elizabeth Miller, who's here today, yes.
Okay. Are you Elizabeth Miller? Oh, hi, Elizabeth. I'm sorry.
Hi.
I've never had the pleasure of meeting you. Okay. Okay. Benefits take up a big piece of this budget, so what's going on there? We've had an increase in the benefits across the city. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, that's primarily due to the continuing rise in healthcare costs. Inflation is also affecting health coverage and health care. We have been working with Mrsa to identify different strategies to mitigate the growth of our healthcare expenses. And over the next year, Liz and the team in benefits, as well as the leadership team in HR, is going to be looking at a comprehensive approach to employee wellness to focus on how we can drive employees toward healthier behaviors and also make the wellness program a little bit easier to digest and understand for employees in order to improve participation and also improve visits to primary care, educate folks on how to use the primary care instead of the emergency room or instead of the urgent care, and think about cost-saving measures throughout the city.
What types of tactics or strategies did you use last year relative to what you're talking about now? What have you done?
Liz, you want to talk about all this last year?
Yeah, as we moved
Okay,
away
you
from...
want to come up?
Sure. As we moved away from more virtual meetings and things like that, we actually put forth some wellness fairs, health fairs that included wellness components that actually had representatives from Virgin Pulse. They had also invited, and she was well received, nutritionists. So we're getting back in person with people and we're finding out what they will actually have an appetite for wellness. And we're looking to find ways to engage more of the population with the wellness programs that we have existing, but we also are adding new programs to showcase for July 1st.
Okay. What role did your office play in promoting COVID-19 vaccinations throughout the city and managing the vaccinations? What role did you play?
In terms of promoting employee vaccination, we mostly support communication efforts and educated employees on their options through either PIMA or different community healthcare clinics that were offering vaccinations. Most of our work was around policy, as you may recall, related to COVID-19, ensuring that employees were wearing masks, that they understood vaccination requirements, etc. But our work was primarily in support of PIMA and the first responders that were leading that work. And in terms of testing, we sent several communications to educate our employees on their rights to get at-home tests covered by the insurance company, so you could get up to a maximum of 8 tests per month covered if you purchase them and then submit them for reimbursement. So we would send out communications to those effects and educate people on where testing centers were to keep them safe.
Okay. So you started your presentation by talking about your role is to introduce measures for effectiveness and efficiencies. Do you have a question? Or you just-
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you were.
No, I do as I imagine.
No, that's right, we've had that operation. So we've heard, the council has heard that there's been some challenges with people's benefits, employees' benefits, having them come off their benefits, getting them back on efficiently and effectively. So what are you doing there? Because we hear a lot that city employees are not, their benefits are somewhat challenged. So I don't see effectiveness and efficiencies there. I'm just wondering what you're doing, because there are a lot of retired folks that have lost their benefits and working with your department to get them back on. How's that going? Why is that happening? And what controls are you putting in place to make sure it doesn't happen?
Yeah, so I can turn it over to Liz to talk a little bit about the specific operations there, but one, I also ask that if anyone hears of any employee that's facing any sort of benefit concern, please let me know so that we can address that as soon as possible. I know employees may be working with other members of our team, but if there's anything I can do to help improve things, I'm always happy to do that. On the analysis end, we have a software system that we currently use for benefit enrollment and disenrollment. My understanding is that there have been some issues in some of the enrollment categories, so we've deployed our performance team to help understand why folks haven't been enrolled in either the right plan or they may have been disenrolled. And we're working, I believe we identified a couple of dozen situations that this was happening, and we're working to rectify those as soon as possible. So a lot of those are on our radar, but if there's anything that we should know, or if you want to confidentially tell us about specific employees, we're happy to take their names.
Thank you, Madam Order.
Is this the person that you want to give the raise to?
The person who's identifying the issues, yes.
Okay, how did the issues get caused?
The issues are, I'm not sure how the issues were caused. I think it was incorrect coding on one of the plans. This was not the individual that we're talking about creating the coding. We've also had some transition in the department where we have a few new people who are administering some of the retiree changes. And I don't know if it's a lack of training, so we're trying to, one, rectify the issue, but two, understand the root cause, and then either retrain our employees or make the improvements necessary.
Please, ma'am.
How many people turned over on the benefit side over the last, since you've been
Do you
there?
know?
How many people as in employees? Well, 1, 2, we've had 4 changes. So our retirement primary person did leave. We backfilled her position, trained that new employee. Then we hired someone to fill a frontline position. The person in that frontline position then took the position that was vacated by the person who went to assist retirees. We trained that person. Now we filled the new front role, and we have, in the process of training all these individuals, developed standard operating procedures, processes by which we can thoroughly train. And the plan going forward is quarterly to review all of these procedures to make sure that we haven't missed anything that might have changed, could do better, process more efficiently.
All of the employees that you see in the white under the benefits, they are all new in their roles. So because one person left, people got promoted, and so this is all, I believe the most recent change was as of what, 3-4 months ago maybe?
3 months ago.
So we still have relatively new people in those positions doing that work.
How long have they been in? Did you answer that question? I have 4 changes. Is it, how many months have they been in?
The most recent one, I believe, is 3 months ago.
How about the, I believe we referred to them as division heads. How long have those folks been in their roles?
So Elizabeth has been in her role about 1.5 years.
Almost a year and a half.
Yeah, 1.5 years as benefits manager.
Okay, how about the others?
Maria Lomax has been in her role as about 10 months ago. Jonathan has been in his role 7 months ago. Jeff Almeida has been in his role approximately 5 months, and Rachel has been in his role approximately 5 months.
Well, now there's your problem. You have director level people that have been in their positions for a matter of months. How did that happen?
So these folks were promoted from other positions.
Where, what positions were they promoted?
And also, so Maria Lomax was our former performance analyst. Jonathan was recruited from the outside. That was one of the positions that the council allowed last year. So we recruited him. Jeff Almeida was a former human resources generalist. When the transition to the diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging department took place, Jeff managed the EO processes and then was formally installed in that position. Liz came in from the outside 18 months ago, and Rachel was in the other position that we were allowed to expand this year. So the other reason why these are newer is because these are also new positions that were authorized.
So you're building up this department, bulking up, if you will. We did approve positions last year because you asked for them.
Yes.
And quite honestly, I'm not seeing you achieving the efficiencies and operations that we would hope for. All of these positions that are in division director roles, division head roles, are all new in their positions, which I suspect is probably why we hear so much complaints and concerns about employees not getting the resources that they are deserving of. So that's concerning me. What about, so you've got all the union positions, how long have they been in their roles?
Some of these vary between 3 months to approximately 40 years.
Okay, give me the 3 months, Nick, call out the by title, the
Yeah,
positions
so
that are 3
the
months.
personnel technician and the benefits technician are newest folks. They've been with the department, I believe, between 4 and 6 months, or 3 and 6 months. The medical health plan administrator has been with the department about 6 months, 7 months, perhaps. The coordinator of employee benefits has been with the department, how many years? 10, maybe? 15 years. The assistant claims examiner has been with the department about 4 years. The senior claims examiner has been with the department approximately 35 years. The personnel technician too has been with the department over 30 years, and the training coordinator has been with the department over 10 years.
So the most senior person, senior claims examiner, workers' comp, is that?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. When was the last time that person was promoted?
I'm not sure. This would predate when he is director.
How about your experience? I recall when you started in this role, I recall you having a data background. Is that correct, Danielle?
I was a chief innovation officer for the city before
Okay.
moving into this position.
Okay. What about HR experience? Do you have any HR experience other than this role that you're in now?
I did, yes. I did many HR projects, not just in the innovation office with the city, but in my prior capacities, I have managed staff and departments for over 10, 12 years now, both as a healthcare advocate, as a social work manager. I've also managed operations and call center environments. I've managed efficiency initiatives. I've managed initiatives at the state level with the
Okay.
Department of Health.
I was looking for your background in policy and HR work. That was what my questioning was.
Oh, I'm
regarding.
sorry. I'm happy to answer.
Okay, so, any questions, committee members? Are you okay? Madam Auditor, do you have any further questions?
I just want, in the personnel supplement, you have a manager of training, unfunded allowed, and you only have a training coordinator here. Do you do any training?
We do training, that's part of the duties of the two human resource generalists, and myself as well as the deputy also lead training efforts.
And I have been to them, so I was just curious that you had no one specifically doing them. But you do have that training coordinator there, and he trains in the city?
The training coordinator is the union training coordinator, so he ensures that our union employees, for example, need hoisting licenses or different licenses to do their jobs, have a pathway to secure those licenses. And also comply with any sort of OSHA-related trainings or things like that.
And he reports to the manager of personnel and compensation. Why wouldn't he report to one of the generalists or the deputy? Or, just curious.
So primarily the work of the personnel division has been around onboarding, offboarding, training, and records management. And that's been historically how we've kept that there.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to be very forthright here. I'm struggling with the short period of time that your division heads have been in place and the request for some significant bumps in salary for them, particularly when we're hearing that there's some challenges in your department. You're a relatively new department head. I don't think that you have a great depth of experience in human resources, which I think is a challenge for you. But, you know, we're getting a lot of complaints as council people from your department or regarding your department. You know, and I'm in the school in the vein of thought that the most important function in any organization is its human resource department. It is absolutely essential that if you're running efficiently and effectively, and that, quite frankly, is why this body agreed to give you the leeway to add some positions to build out your department. But I think that we're beyond the building out the department point, and we want to see some results. So we're looking for efficiencies in your department, and we're looking for you to be the resource for all of our teammates in the city to be able to go to and to know that they're being serviced effectively and appropriately and efficiently. I know we've lost some people, long-term employees, that had a great deal of knowledge, and we're in the inner workings of the city operations, but also they were experts in their fields. And we're replacing them with individuals who might not have the depth of experience that we lost. So that concerns me. And you know, I want to continue to look at what's going on in your department. Does anyone else have any thoughts, or do you have any comments that you'd like to make?
No.
Okay. All right. I think that's a wrap for tonight. We are going to continue to look at your department, and we'll reach out to you if we have any further questions. I think that is it. That's all, Madam Clerk, that we have on our agenda for this evening. Do I need to do anything else before we adjourn? Okay, I think we are adjourned. I thank you all for your testimony. Thank you all for your hard work on behalf of the city of Providence. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Elder.